Also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Aditya had requested for some revision questions on drag force and viscous force. We will discuss a couple of questions based on that also. Okay. So let's start with some revision examples or doubts. So one of the questions is interesting one. It's a variation of a JEE question actually from rotational mechanics. Obviously, like when we are going through doubts, many of the questions will be from rotation, electromagnetic induction, and these key type of chapters. So this question is like this: we have a triangular frame that has three identical particles which are joined by massless rigid rods. So three identical particles A, B, and C, mass m each, are joined by massless rigid rods, length L each. Okay. And placed on a smooth horizontal surface. Okay. At rest initially. Now, as you might have guessed, a fourth particle, which is of half the mass, m by 2, is initially traveling along a direction where it makes a head-on impact with the particle B. Okay, so it's traveling with V naught. So this makes a head-on impact with the particle B along the line BC. So another particle D of mass m by 2 makes a head-on impact with B along the line BC. The line of impact is the BC. So given coefficient of restitution is 0.75 for the impact. Okay, we have to find Cm and omega for the frame ABC after impact. Okay. VD and VB just after impact. These two things have to be calculated. Okay. So just start going through this question. I will discuss the application very soon. So this is a typical problem of collision of a particle with a rigid body. So you have to understand the application of conservation of linear momentum and conservation of angular momentum over here. So this question is about that. So just try this out, people. No, Aditya, the frame is not hinged. It's a free rigid body. The original JEE question, if you see, na, from I think it was the late 90s, the triangular frame was hinged at the point A. But in this case, the triangular frame is not hinged. Okay, so it's a free rigid body. It's a free triangle. Understood, na, beta, Aditya? Yeah. So that triangle is just lying on a smooth horizontal surface. The plane of the boat is a horizontal surface, and that other particle is also moving that same plane and coming and hitting this. So this will go into a combination of linear and rotational motion. The impulse that will act from the collision at the point B, it will give the center of mass of the triangle ABC some linear momentum, and plus about the center of mass there's an angular impulse. So it will provide some angular momentum. Anybody got the answer for this yet? VCM and omega. Okay, let me work it out. So here what is happening is immediately after impact, let's say the particle D, now because it is lighter, we can assume that it will recoil back at some velocity, let's say v1. Whereas this combination of three particles attached like this, their center of mass will have, okay, Aditya, let's check. Okay. So their center of mass will have a forward linear velocity and an angular velocity about it. Which will be like this. Let's name the centroid G. Okay, so G is the centroid of triangle ABC. So it is the center of mass. Okay. So geometrically, you can see that AG is equal to BG is equal to CG is equal to L by root 3. Okay, you know that property that the altitude is in 1:2 ratio divided by the centroid. So this distance is 2/3 of the altitude, so it becomes like this. Okay. So now what will happen is that the center of mass will have a linear velocity like this, right? And about the center of mass, there will be some angular velocity like this. So the first thing you can do here is for the particle D plus the triangle ABC, this whole thing as a system, you can apply conservation of linear momentum. Okay, so that will tell you that 3m VCM minus m by 2 V1 is equal to m V0. That's your first equation. Okay. And the second thing you can do here will be you can conserve angular momentum. Okay. And for conservation of angular momentum, you can use any point of choice. Okay. So what I'll do is bring this diagram down a little. Okay. Now, what I would prefer to do is to conserve the angular momentum about the point B. I'll tell you why, because that will give us a very simple relation between. Actually, it all depends. You can conserve about any point. Okay. You can conserve about the centroid G also. That also will make sense. Or you can centroid conserve about this. So, second is conservation of angular momentum. Okay. You can do that about either G, that will be an easy option, or you can also do about um, B. That will also be an easy option. You can technically do about any point, but so if you do about the centroid G, you'll see that in the first picture, your particle D has m by 2 v naught into the momentum. So the momentum will be L by 2 root 3. This is the angular momentum of the particle D and no angular momentum of the triangle ABC. This is the initial picture. Okay. This will be counterclockwise. And the second picture, the particle D will have minus m by 2 v1 into L by 2 root 3 because it has become a anti-clockwise angular momentum plus Ig omega, which is clockwise for the triangle ABC. Okay, so that's why I said that this one is not so convenient. About G is not so convenient. We will see that it will be more convenient if we do it about B. So I'll keep that for later. So also do the conservation of angular momentum instead about B. So I'll come to that later. But so if I go with this one, I'll get this, that M V naught L upon 4 root 3 should be equal to minus M V1 L upon 4 root 3 plus, now moment of inertia about G will become 3 times M into L by root 3 square. So that's ml square omega. So we'll get this relation that V naught plus V1 is equal to 4 root 3 omega L. This is like the second equation we get, which is from conservation of angular moment. And this was the first equation. Okay. But I just want to demonstrate for a moment that if you do the conservation of angular momentum about the point B, you will get a simpler relation. About the point B, if you just go back to the first diagram, you'll understand that about the point B, the initial angular momentum was 0. So it makes things much simpler actually. About the point B, the particle's moment arm was directly through B now. The linear moment arm was through D. So it will be 0 for the particle D plus 0 for the triangle. So this should become, in the final diagram, again 0 for the particle D, but plus 3m into VCM into that moment arm, that is L by 2 root 3. Okay, this is, sorry, clockwise. Okay, minus I about the centroid into omega, because this is now anti-clockwise. So this is that term. This is for the triangle ABC. So for this we are using this, that it is RCM cross MVCM plus ICM omega. This thing we are using here. Okay. So this will give you an easier equation to handle, that MVCML to root 3 by 2 should be equal to ML square omega. So if you go with this gives a direct relationship between VCM and omega. That is, okay, this. I'll tell you why this is going to be easier, but anyhow, note this down first. So these are our equations so far. Equation 1, okay, equation 2, or this is another option for equation 2. It's like 2b, this is 2a. You cannot use 2a and 2b together to solve because they are just consistent equations. So you need the third equation actually from some other source, from some other idea. So we'll discuss about that. But are these equations clear to all of you? Okay, where is the third equation going to come from? Yeah, good, Jatin. Anybody, how we'll get the third equation? So we have three variables now. We have V1 unknown, we have VCM unknown, and we have omega unknown. So we need three equations. So third equation, how are we going to generate? Conservation of linear momentum is going to give one equation. Conservation of angular momentum is going to give second equation. Yes, it will come from coefficient of restitution. That's very good. Correct, Samik. So can you tell me the equation better, Samik, how we'll get that exact coefficient of restitution is 0.75. So what relationship it will give us? Yeah, Aditya, I'll explain the 3B equation again to you. Okay. So just work out the coefficient of restitution equation, others, Samik and others, while I'm explaining the 3B equation again. Okay, yeah, Samik, that's correct. It seems to be correct. I'll just verify. Okay. So first of all, Aditya, I'll just take you through the equation 3b once more. So, in this we are using that particular definition of angular momentum, or that theorem of angular momentum, that if we have a rigid body whose center of mass has a velocity like this, and about the center of mass it has an angular velocity omega. And now at any arbitrary point, we want to calculate the angular momentum of the rigid body about the point P. Okay. So this is angular momentum about any arbitrarily chosen point. Okay, for that particular rigid body. So this comes from this formula that first of all you locate the position of the center of mass with respect to the given point about which you want to calculate the angular momentum. So if the center of mass has an instantaneous position vector RCM, now imagine if the rigid body was only translating. If there was only translation, then I could treat the rigid body like a particle of mass m located at the center of mass. Okay. So about this point P, how I would define the angular momentum. Okay, angular momentum would be this thing, moment of linear momentum. So it would be position vector of center of mass with respect to the point P cross linear momentum. Okay, it would be this. Now, on the other hand, suppose the body was only rotating, if it was not translating, it was in pure rotation about the center of mass, okay, with omega, then it doesn't matter which point we are considering. The angular momentum would have been taken as ICM into omega, okay, because it's a pure rotation case. Okay. And the center of mass is at rest. So when you superimpose the two, this is the formula you get. So this becomes the angular momentum about the point P. So I'm sure you're familiar with this formula. And for some reason, if you're not, then you can also see the derivation of this formula. The derivation of this you will see in Resnick-Halliday. Okay. Or if you need my help with the derivation, you can discuss with me later. You can message me, I'll help you out with the derivation. So it's worthwhile going through the derivation of this also. This is one of the 4 rigid body theorems. Okay. And all of them are useful in solving these type of questions, rigid body motion questions. So anyway, so now I'm applying this to this particular case. So ये particular case में क्या हो रहा है, देखो यहाँ पे एक triangle है जिसका मैं angular momentum निकाल रहा हूँ about which point, about this point. Okay, and that triangular frame's center of mass is moving with a linear velocity in this direction. Okay, so this is your VCM, and the total mass of the rigid body is how much? It is 3m. Okay, so with respect to the point B, when I'm calculating angular momentum, I have to take into account the center of mass is linear momentum plus about the center of mass there is omega. So I have to do this RCM cross capital M into VCM plus moment of inertia about center of mass into omega. I have to do this vector sum. Follow na, Aditya? So now this is about the point B. So about the point B, what is your RCM? Your CM is nothing but the point G. The centroid G is the center of mass. So ये आपका position vector है. This is the position vector of the center of mass with respect to the axis of rotation. So this thing, this is just RCM into MVCM sine theta. So that is nothing but MVCM into the perpendicular distance, the moment arm, that is this one. This is the perpendicular distance. The line of action of VCM is this. So this is that perpendicular distance. This is your R perpendicular. So that is why this is becoming 3 times small m, because the total mass is that. Okay. Total mass is this. So 3 times small m okay, because of this into VCM into that perpendicular distance, which is L by 2 root 3. and the sense of it, you can see from the cross product, the sense is clockwise. So this term is actually like this. This term is like this. Now, whereas this term, you can see it is ml square, okay, into omega, but it is anti-clockwise. So because it is anti-clockwise, I'm writing it with a minus sign because I'm taking the sign convention that positive is clockwise and negative is anti-clockwise. I can take reverse also, it doesn't matter. Okay, Bhumik, I will check that out. Okay, so Aditya, is this clear? How we got this term now? So angular momentum of this rigid body, when I write it in magnitude form, it will become minus 3m VCM into L by 2 root 3. Oh, sorry, this will be plus only because I'm taking clockwise is positive, but minus ml square omega. This I'll do with the minus sign because it's negative. Okay, so this is the term we had written over there. Okay, whereas the particle d, that has zero angular momentum about the point b, because the linear momentum is passing through that point. So for a particle, that angular momentum is just r cross mv. So if you have a particle which is moving like this, and you're taking the angular momentum about some point like this, then the angular momentum becomes zero because the moment arm of the linear momentum is zero. So this term will become zero over here for that particle. Okay, so that's how I had come up with that equation. Okay. This other equation. So this equation had come from this. Okay, now I'm coming to the coefficient of restitution equation. Okay, two of you have sent me the equation, so I will verify that equation also for you, which you have sent. Okay. So coefficient of restitution, again, it's a bit technical in such a case. You have to see what is colliding with what. Okay, so in this case, the particle D is colliding with the particle B. So immediately after impact, what is happening is that you have to understand how the particle B is moving at the moment just after impact. You have to understand the velocity, okay, of the particle B over here just after impact. So just after impact, we want to find the velocity of the particle B. So it is the velocity of the particle B with respect to the centroid plus the velocity of the centroid. Okay. So this one will actually become an r omega type of term into the tangential unit vector plus this is your VCM type of term. Here CM is the same thing as G. So they are interchangeable terms. So this thing now we have to understand. So for the particle B, you can see that centro mass के about omega ऐसा है, so that r omega term is like this. So this is your r omega, and that will actually be L by root 3 omega because this is L by root 3. Okay, and this will be at 90 degrees to this. So that means it will be at 60 degrees with respect to this because this is 30 degrees. This is the angular bisector. Okay. And VCM, of course, is the vector we have considered like this. Okay. So along with this, this also has that VCM term. So like this. So now if you see the particle B's separation velocity with respect to D, how we'll calculate that? Now D is going back at V1. So what we have to do is now for that particle BC, the net velocity of that particle B is becoming the vector sum of this VCM term and this omega L by root 3 term where this angle is 60. So in दोनों का जो vector sum है, that is the net velocity of the particle B. Okay, but actually we are not interested in the net velocity. What we are actually interested in is in the relative separation velocity with D. So what we have to calculate is separation velocity. So separation velocity is the component of relative velocity along this line of impact. Now let's call this line of impact as our, just let's call it line of impact only. So we want to calculate separation velocity of B with respect to D. Okay, so that is nothing but relative velocity, this thing's component along the line of impact or the center to center line. That is actually the separation velocity. So वो कितना हो जाएगा यहाँ पे v1 plus vcm plus the component of this omega term along vcm. So that is omega L by root 3 cos 60. Am I correct? Just think this out logically. So cos 60 is how much? Root 3 by 2. So this should become omega L by 2. This is our separation velocity. We'll just check out the answers you people have sent me. But so this is separation velocity. Samik, just that sign will be plus, no? I forgot square root 3, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, cos 60 is half, my mistake. I've taken cos 60 as root 3 by 2, my mistake. Yeah. And also that v1 term will come with a plus sign because it's going the opposite direction in my diagram. Now, if you have taken in the same direction as v0, then you will get with minus sign. But that's okay, as long as you have shown the direction correct. Yes. ठीक है, तो ये मेरा separation velocity हो गया. And the approach velocity was obviously directly v0 only. So this term should be 0.75 times this. Before impact is very easy. The particle B was stationary and D was coming directly towards it at v0. So the approach velocity was nothing but v0. So now my coefficient of restitution term, E being 0.75, or that's the same thing as 3 by 4, I will get this relation that v1 plus vcm. In my diagram, v1 is like this. Okay, if you've taken v1 in the same direction as v0, then it will come with a minus sign. So I'm assuming you have done that, Samik. You've taken v1 in the same direction instead of opposite. Okay, so this is our third equation. Now we can use either version of the second equation for our purpose. Okay, so that's where we see that second equation's B part will be more convenient. Okay, so now let's put together the equations that we have. So this one, what it's giving us that 3 VCM minus half V1 is equal to V0, right? So we got this. My first equation, and then I've got, as I told you, the more convenient one is this one. VCM is equal to, or from this I can say omega L is root 3 by 2 VCM. Let's use this. So omega L is equal to root 3 by 2 VCM. So now what I can do is I can substitute V1 from this as 3 VCM minus V0 ka double. Okay, and I can substitute omega L from this. So substitute this and substitute this. Okay, in equation 1, in equation 3, this one. So V1 will become, okay, plus VCM plus omega L. So that omega L is root 3 by 2 VCM by 2 root 3 should be equal to 3 by 4 V naught. Okay, so now there's a simple linear equation. From this I'll get VCM, and once I've got VCM, I can substitute to find omega and all the other things, V1, etc. Okay. So this seems like a lengthy question at this stage because I've explained a lot of the details, but this is actually a JEE advanced level question. It's a paragraph type question. You should be able to solve it, each part within a couple of minutes or so, because you have to just write 3 equations basically. And with experience, you will learn to write these equations without too much of calculation. Okay, so hope the coefficient of restitution equation is clear to all of you. Yeah, Bhumik, your equation was correct. Very good. Okay, now we'll move on to another doubt. Okay, this one is a question from optics, so it's good for a bit of variety in today's doubt session. So this you should be able to do fairly fast once I give you the hint. So it is all about this thing, what we call field of view. Just go through the question. I'll explain in a moment. Shreya, I think you have sent this question, right? So I'll just explain. So field of view, देखो क्या होता है, that whenever we have a mirror ना, a point object's image is going to be, now this is the mirror, so it's going to be behind the mirror at a point like this. Let's say S prime. It's going to be at the same distance behind the mirror because of any reflected rays which are like this. Okay. Any set of reflected rays, you produce them back, they're going to give you this. Okay. But now there are borderline reflected rays now. So if you draw the mirror's edge to this is one of your borderline reflected rays. And if you draw another one, let's say here, this is another borderline reflected ray. You're following these rays, Shreya? So these reflected rays, they are giving you this region. This is the field of view. So if you are here, you won't receive any reflected light. If you are here, you won't receive any reflected light. Only in this region you will receive the reflected light. So now you have to calculate the distance of this region using similar triangles. Okay. So the concept is clear, I hope. Okay, now see how we'll do the actual calculation. So I'm just clearing this view and I'm just showing you the borderline rays now. Okay. So your virtual image point is here. So what you do is you just extend this point somewhere here. Okay. And see. Okay. So now suppose this point is, I mean, these points are A, B, and S prime. Okay. Then we should be able to calculate this quite easily. So you want to calculate the distance AB. So what similar triangles you can make use of? So this diagram should come helpful. Okay. So you can see that this triangle here is congruent to this triangle. Okay. And likewise, if you, for example, label this point as C and label this point as D, then triangle S prime CD and triangle S prime AB, they are similar triangles. So we should be able to make use of this. So for the larger triangle, the height is L plus L plus L, 3L, divided by, for the smaller triangle, the height is L. So this should be equal to AB divided by CD. Okay. Now just you have to use a bit more geometry to find how much this CD is, using the fact that this and this are similar. Okay. So I think you should be able to figure this out. Bit more work is required, but should be able to. I think, see, this is a square, no? L by L, and this is a rectangle of L by 2L. So it should be easy to calculate how much this distance is from here to here. Okay. So from that CD, okay, CE is equal to CD. Okay, and now, you know, should be some pretty simple way of calculating this. So Shreya, can you complete the calculation from this point? Okay. Yeah, Somadeep, I think the answer is C only. Okay. Okay, now we'll move on to another question. Yes, Somadeep, the answer is C, correct. Okay. This question, Shreya, about the polarizer and analyzer, I'll just take you through the question. So, this is based on that idea that when you put light through a polarizer whose polarization axis is like this, okay, then the electric field of the light coming out through that, no? If this was unpolarized light, so the electric field was unpolarized. Now light coming out from this side, it has an electric field in this direction only. Now if you put this through another polarizer, so the second polarizer is what they are calling the analyzer here, because you analyze the light through it. So if this now comes through this second one, it will have an electric field which will be along the analyzer's polarization axis. So let's say that is E1. Okay. And now if you compare these two now together, like this was the original polarizer, and when you put the analyzer on top of this, if the analyzer's axis was making an angle theta with this, then what will happen here is that this E1 will be the cos theta component of E0, like this. Okay. So the intensity of light coming out through the analyzer is proportional to E1 square, whereas the intensity of light going out of the polarizer is proportional to E0 square. Okay. So you can see that I1 upon I0 will become cos square theta. So through what angle should the analyzer be rotated so that 25% of the light passes through the analyzer? So you want this to be 25%. Okay, so from that you can see that cos theta should become half. So like that. Yeah. So understood now. So maybe just the term analyzer was a little confusing, but analyzer is like the second polarizer. Okay, it's called the analyzer because through that you analyze the the output light. So Shreya, I hope this question is clear, beta. Okay, series combination of polarizers. No, I think it should be 60 only because cos square theta is 20%, 25% of light passes through. No? So the output should be 1/4. If it had said that 25% is absorbed, then it would have been the output is 75% 3/4. So it would have been cos inverse of root 3/2. Then the answer should have been B. So in my opinion, here the answer should be C only. Okay. Anyway, that is the meaning of the question. Hope it is clear. Okay. Now moving on to the next one. Okay. So this is a simple calculation of phase difference and path difference. Okay, so let's understand this question in detail. So you have these two coherent narrow slits. So you have to just imagine they're like the YDSE slits. The slit size will be of the order of lambda. So there's no diffraction taking place, only interference. And they are in same phase. That means phase difference between the slits is 0. They are at a small separation of 3 lambda. Placed parallel to each other at a small separation of 3 lambda. And d is obviously very large compared to lambda. So this small d we can write equal to 3 lambda like this. Smallest distance x at which there will be a maximum. So this is just about calculation. You have to be able to do this calculation that your path difference S1p minus S2p. So smallest distance for which it is a maxima will be basically what you will see that at O, that is x equal to 0, your path difference delta x is how much? It is 3 lambda. So next, the smallest one for maxima, it will be the next closest integer multiple, no? Or whole number multiple. So 2 lambda. You have to solve this condition. Understood, Nashir? Now it's a matter of solving this equation. Okay. So you can see that square root of d square plus x square minus square root of d minus 3 lambda square plus x square should be equal to 2 lambda. This is what we have to solve. And in this, you have to apply the condition that d is very large compared to lambda. Okay. Okay. So bit of that, approximation thing is required. So that second bracket, I'm just writing it here, d minus 3 lambda ka whole square plus x square. So you can approximate this as d square minus 6 lambda d plus x square, because your lambda square you will neglect. So you can write this as d into 1 minus 6 lambda by d plus x square by d square to the power half. Okay, so that's how this term will become 1 minus this. So the trick in these type of questions is binomial approximation. It's 2 lambda. Now bring the powers inside. Okay, because you'll realize that lambda is small compared to d. So x is also going to be small compared to d. So you can next approximate this as okay. So your no, probably we can't do this. No, we can't do this approximation. No. Okay, so this step is not correct. Yeah, I'll just check the solution. This binomial approximation step is not going to be correct. So now we have to basically solve this equation. So you can do this, multiply divide by the yeah, angular approximation. That's also a good idea. Or you can multiply divide by the rationalization of that kind of concept you can use. So I will just share my whiteboard and give you an idea of how to do this. So just remember this equation over here, this equation. So yeah, this equation. Now I'm going to see how you can solve this. Okay. Yeah, so I'm solving this in my whiteboard now. So square root of 1 plus x square by d square minus square root of this minus 6 lambda by d. यही था ना? This should become equal to 2 lambda by d. I'm just bringing that d on that side. Okay. So this is like, root a minus root b is equal to c. So a minus b will become c into root a plus root b. So root a plus root b is equal to a minus b by c. So just like this. So square root of this plus square root of this. This should become this plus this. Sorry, this minus this. Divided by c. This, okay. So now just add these two equations. So 2 times square root of 1 plus x square by d square should become the sum of these two. So that is 2 lambda by d plus, now this will be 6 lambda by d okay. So from this now you can solve for x. Just square both the sides and solve. So hope this is clear, Shreya. Okay, let me come to the next question. Shreya, I'll come back to your doubts in some time. Uh, Devesh, rather, yeah, Devesh, this is one of your questions. So hope you are able to see the question clearly, all of you. Okay. We'll discuss this next. So this is a similar question to the one we were discussing earlier. Okay, the collision is elastic means we'll take coefficient of restitution to be 1. So this is exactly the same concept as that triangular frame question. Just it will give you some extra practice in dealing with this type of situation. So just try it out with it. Okay, people, so let's look at the solution of this. So what's going to happen here is after impact, if we assume that this one, it develops a VCM like this and an omega about the center of mass like this. Okay, and let's imagine that this one, which came and impacted, it has some negative velocity v1, and this one now has an omega, what is it, L by 2 like this. Okay, so this angle will be 45 plus a VCM like this. So our conservation of linear momentum equation will become 2m VCM minus mv1 is equal to mv0. So 2 VCM minus v1 is equal to v0. That's our first equation. Okay, then our conservation of angular momentum. Now I will conserve angular momentum about this point. Always find it more convenient. Okay. So conservation of angular momentum about b, ये क्या हो जाएगा, इनिशियली 0 है और फाइनली कितना है 2m VCM into this momentum. So that is L by 2 root 2, which is like this, minus I omega like this. Okay. So moment of inertia will be 2 times m into L by 2 ka whole square. So that's ml square by 2. So this equation will become 2m VCM by 2 root 2 is equal to m by 2 into L omega, or VCM is equal to L omega by root 2. That's your second equation, I think. Okay, Aditya, I'll check. Okay. And finally, your third equation will be the coefficient of restitution one. So coefficient of restitution equation will give you that separation velocity in my diagram will become v1 plus VCM plus omega L by 2 into 1 by root 2. So that should be equal to v0. So this should be my third equation. Okay, now use the same method like we did in the first one. From this you substitute the value of v1, and from this you substitute the value of omega L, and you'll get whatever you get. Okay, Devesh, hope this is clear. Yeah. Okay, now people, unfortunately, there is a scheduling confusion today. I have a career guidance seminar which is supposed to start very soon, little before 8 o'clock. So I will have to cut short the lecture a little bit today because of that seminar coming up in the next session. Next week also, mostly we will have 2 sessions for doubts, and I'll also try to keep solving as many doubts as I can in between and sending you the hints and all that through WhatsApp as much as possible. Okay, so you are welcome to keep sending me your doubts and by WhatsApp, and I will keep giving you the hint. Yeah, Bhumik, I will give you the hint by tomorrow or so. Okay, so thank you all very much for attending, and sorry about the change of plans, but yeah, Aditya, I will do that also. Okay, but also you have if you're looking for material to work on questions, you also have that revision exercise set, that Gyaneshwar sir had sent the revision module kind of thing, which has all the mixed questions in question paper format. So those also have some good questions in rotation. But otherwise, yes, I will send an exercise in rotation. You can try. Okay. So that's it for today. People, wish you all the best.